On the back straightaway, into turn number 3, thick thin, still 3 wide, Brandon Feeney, high, wide, and handsome. He's going to go to the outside and get past Camillo.
I don't mean to be too birds and bees with you folks, but this is how cautions are born.
So, welcome back to another episode of the Feeney Call. Tonight's guest will be the one and only Phil Givens. He's been racing bone stocks for longer than I've been a racer, and I think he's tried his hand at mini stocks once or twice. I'm not sure what other classes he's tried, but I'll mention it to him as we're talking to him later. A little recap of how the week went. We're not going to bore you with bowling this time. But we went to the Peterborough Speedway banquet. I picked up my 2 third-place trophies for the season, and got to hang it with a bunch of people that I haven't seen since the end of the race season. And then, yeah, so that's said and done. Also, we ran the iRacing Rolex 24 hours. We had a couple issues and stuff like that. So, but yeah. We finished, I think, 17th. I'll have to go back and look at it. And then, so yeah, there's your update for the week. If anyone's that's on iRacing is looking to get into a good league, the Red Light Racing Series is looking for more drivers for the next season. We have recruitment races coming up for the next, I think, 4 weeks. You can message my friend Josh, and he'll send you the links, and we'll post everything up and stuff like that. It's a pretty clean league. There's not a lot of rules, but as long as you follow the few rules that are there, I think you'll have a good time running the league. I run this league now for a couple of years. I get my butt kicked a lot, but it's fun when you're racing against some of the best in iRacing as far as I'm concerned. Super fast guys, and it's making me better on the game compared to where I was when I first joined in. It's a habit to be over aggressive early, burn your stuff up, and now I'm learning to save stuff, be there at the end, and it's trying to get these guys while they're improving as well. So, but yeah, that's it. That's my weekly review for the slow off season that we're having so far. But without further ado, we're going to bring in Phil Givens there. Welcome to this week's episode of the Feeney Call. We have the one and only Phil Givens. Phil, why don't you take here a couple moments to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Phil Givens, driver of the number 0, Caldecott Millwrights, London Recreational, bone stock at just about every track in Ontario.
And I believe you were also driving the 50 this season as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was in the 50 at Delaware Speedway, one of Chris Lawrence's BT cars. And also we won the championship at Flamborough in Buttercup, the bright pink 50 BT car, which is owned by Chris as well. Wade Thorne and myself, we piloted that and got the championship.
Yeah, so I had to make sure I brought that up because I had to get Chris to send me the photos for the question period because he forgot. So Chris was gladly willing to send all the pictures in, as you can probably tell by the photo package I got. So this is the first year since I've known you that you've kind of worked together officially with another team. Like we all work together in the pits and stuff like that when we can. What was that experience like where you're driving multiple different cars in the same season, even though they're the similar baseline?
Yeah, so 2023 was the last season. So 2022, I actually worked with Chris down at Delaware Speedway there in the 50 car. I ran a full season for him. and yeah, it was good. You know, we've had a good time over the last 2 years, and it gave me ability to run on a Friday night at Delaware, not having to tow a car down, save a little bit of money that way, and plus compete for a championship at that track. I love that place. It's absolute blast. Then this year we kind of expanded even more and ran points at Delaware, and unfortunately we didn't have the season we wanted to have. We still got a feature win, which that knocks one off my bucket list. But yeah, the Flamborough car, we ran consistent every night, and that we were there between Wade and I. And Wade did a hell of a job when I couldn't race, and he made sure that we stayed up on top on points. And yeah, we got that championship for Chris.
Well, you got a championship for Chris, but you also got it for yourselves and your sponsors as well. Who actually got to go home with the championship trophy out of all that deal?
Because I raced more percentage of the time, I end up with the championship trophy. But Chris has the rule. Usually, all the trophies go back to his place for a little bit of time, and they hang out there. So, but yeah, eventually the trophy will come to my place.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, especially while he's running the program. And Chris has had a very successful program. I think that's you have a great deal of part of that. I know Chris does all the work and stuff like that, but you as a driver and he picked the kind of car that you've been known to be successful in, I think was made a great partnership for him getting all the cars up to a level where almost any one of his cars can compete. Um, so you've been what year do you start racing in?
I started in a mini stock in 2009, I believe. At then it was Varney Motor Speedway, but Full Throttle Motor Speedway now.
So you started in mini stock, and then I guess you ran that for a couple years, and then you got into uh sorry, I forget the name of the original car that you used to whoop my butt with every time you came down to Peterborough.
So 2009 to 2014, I ran as a mini stock or in the mini stocks, and we decided to revamp our mini stock, our Nissan 240. Um, and I put too much money into it, and it was too much. I was in too much on it, so I sold it off to Brian Wilson, and I was around the track once in a while. Nick Clark invited me up to race the Sunfire, and yeah, I've had the same car ever since 2000. That was the 2015 season, and I've had the same Sunfire since 2015 till now.
So you've been very successful with that car, winning at I think almost every track across the province. Is there any tracks that that car hasn't been to victory lane on?
Just Laird Speedway for asphalt, and Jacassa, obviously, but yeah, any other track in Southern Ontario, yeah, it's been to for asphalt. It's been on in Victory Lane. I tried it on dirt at Humberstone one year. I'm not. It was the track was soaked. It was an interesting idea that Wade Thorne put out there, and I didn't like having to hose the thing down after the race. That's kind of why I stay at asphalt.
So what you're saying is next time you get convinced to run dirt, whoever convinces you isn't part of the deal. They have to wash the car after.
No, I'll just race their car. I'll jump in one of Wade's or something. Yeah, and Chris has built a really nice car here for that's going dirt racing, and I don't know. We'll see how he does with that, and maybe I can jump in the seat once or twice.
Yeah, Chris seems to build super nice cars. I've kind of been watching his off-season build. And are you going down to Florida with them? And I think it's this coming weekend, or is it next coming weekend?
They're going down for speed weeks. I was gonna, but we have some other things going on in our family life, and just other things at work and stuff. So we I decided not to go down. I would have loved to, but yeah, it just didn't really work out for me. I wish them all the best. Obviously, I'm going to be watching. I think it's Racing America that has speed weeks, not Flow Racing. So might have to steal my brother-in-law's password so I can watch some of that. But yeah,
Or whoever wants to be the favorite family member gets to, share the password so you can watch Chris and all that race down in Florida. That's
I
how they
guess if
win that title.
Yeah, exactly. I guess if that's the case, I guess Eric's slowly winning just because he has that password.
So with 2024 starting to approach us, what are some of the plans you have set in place for the season, and what are some things that maybe you're looking to cross off your bucket list?
2024, it's gonna be it's gonna be a part-time season, both for myself and Nicole. Um, there's gonna be some, a lot of travel, but we'll be down at Flamborough. I'll hit up the big events at Flamborough. Looking forward to getting up to Salvo, support them a little bit with their bone stock adventure they have going on this year. Of course, autumn colors. I got to be dying to not go out to that race. So I'll be there and Sunset, hang out at Sunset as well.
So what you're saying is you're chasing the big trophies this year instead of chasing the one trophy at the end of the season.
Yeah, yeah, I won't be no more points racing. That was I think I worked out. I think it was like 36 times I was in a race car last year. It's too much.
You say that, but you enjoy it every single time. Well, most of the time.
Yeah, any time that the car ended up in one piece coming off the track, yeah, it was good. But just there's a couple stressful nights at Delaware, and by the end of it, it just wasn't nothing against anybody. It was just how we were racing, and we were struggling with some stuff, and um, it wore on me being at the track. 2 nights a week, every week, pretty much, and
Sometimes three.
sometimes three. Yeah, when you got to run over to Sunset on a Sunday show or something. So I'm gonna go part time. I won't race full time. Probably again, I would say in my career. I think it's more fun traveling around, meeting more people, pissing off more people. You know, that's that
Yeah.
seems to be what happens.
Hey, the old rule of adages, you can never make everybody happy, but you can sure piss everybody off.
Well, that's the thing, right? I heard a quote the other day that was like, "I don't come to the racetrack to make friends, so I'm not planning on making friends."
But with that being said, you've always been one of the nicer guys at the racetrack, at least around me. I don't know if it's just me and you have always gotten along because I don't bitch about your car. Because I find like because you've been so successful since I've known you in that Sunfire, people have always complained, or it's like it's an ecotac, or it's this or that. No matter what you do in racing, if you're successful, somehow you're cheating, even if you're the only legal car in the field, which me and you both know, and a lot of other racers know, that everyone tries to find an excuse why you're faster. So I find there's a lot of people that unfortunately you can see them sit there and take the cheating so far. Like, do you remember that one Honda that was like all lowered and freaking had a big engine that freaking and like lapsed like Oosterhold at Peterborough the one night? It's like you can't cheat that obvious. Like I don't mind someone trying to push the envelope because it's racing. We all try eventually. We all get caught doing something. Like the old Sunfire I had with the big dirty built engine that it had. Like
Yeah.
and the best part is like I passed you down the straightaway. You'd pass me on the outside going through the corners, and people would bitch that you had an Ecotec. And we're literally like, but he's losing time on the straightaway. And I was like, I don't know if I was trying to help you at the same time or just trying to hide that my motor wasn't as big as it was. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that story. That's me just ranting. Some old
Yeah,
times.
I know what you're saying, and you know what? Everybody has their own theories and everything like that, and that's part of race. And if you're going to be fast, like you look at a guy like Andy Camerath, every series the guy's been in, he's dominated, and that's the thing. Oh, he's cheating, he's doing this, he's doing that, and he's played the gray areas to the best of his ability, and he's fast,
Well,
and yeah, like that's a lot of people don't know I have some pretty smart people that help me out. With if I'm having troubles with setup or something, the car's doing something goofy, it's try this, try that. Like, there's a few guys that really know what they're doing with these things. So
yeah, it's
they,
even if you think of like a J.R. Fitzpatrick, right? Super fast individual. But I appreciate him now showing more what he does in the shop. Like just with that super late model, what he did with the I believe it was the front wheel bearings and stuff, watching show how they spin differently. Like, people don't realize the amount of time put in the shop, as long as you actually know what you're doing with your car and stuff like that, and not making things worse, it pays dividends when you go to race every week and every week you're maintaining this car and making it so it rolls good, it turns good. Like, I find the ones that usually complain are the ones like me with that left the knee on at the track all week. It's like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be way faster, just leaving it there and doing nothing.
Yeah, like 2018, I was racing up at Sauble, and I won the first 6 or 7 races that year. And guys would just complain. And one guy showed up, and he was always complaining that, oh, it's too fast, it's cheated. And he sent his car to get a wrap put on it, and it looked fantastic. Great work by Image Wraps, making it look good. So I asked him, what'd you do to your car this week to make it better? And he said, oh, I sent it for a wrap. Well, you're not gonna, if you don't pull the car off the trailer and go over it, do a nut and bolt check everything, you're not gonna be quick. Like it doesn't happen. You got to put in the time.
Yeah, because something as small as like an inner tie rod having, let's say, a 16th of an inch of play changes how your car turns the entire time. And if you can catch that early enough before it gets to be really sloppy, then like the amount of load we put on those bone stock cars or even mini stock cars to try to make them corner and do things they're not supposed to do. Like, A, you could have a part failure, but B, you need that car to be perfect every single time to maintain the kind of speed that you maintain. But
Yeah, like if you look back to Autumn Colors 20, what was that, 2022, I had a quick car all weekend. I went up, I made what, I think it was 10 laps in the feature, blew the right rear hub. Guess what I forgot to check before I went out? See if there's any play in the right rear hub. Like it's just, that was on me. That was my mistake.
and the worst part is it's always when you're quick, something breaks.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to get into some of these fan questions that you have now officially the most amount of fan questions submitted. However, some of them I'm not using for the night. Just to not create controversy. But I feel like I owe at least Nicole this. And she wants to know what it's like for her to beat you on the racetrack. And I want to know how many times it's actually happened.
I got to think. So we only had one. The night she won her first feature, I wasn't on the track. When she won her second feature, she beat me. I finished third, and I got up to third, and I could see them, but I got close to second place. So I couldn't track her down, and I don't know. You kind of feel proud, but you kind of feel pissed off because you're never, you're gonna hear it all week or that she did better, but she's done nothing but improve. So when she does beat me, it's a proud moment, but it just makes me want to go faster.
Yeah, it's one of those moments like, oh, she's doing so good. Oh, she's going to use this when I'm on a podcast later.
Exactly, right?
And we're not going to ask Cameron as much funny as that is. That well, I guess we can ask that.
I don't even
So,
know if I've seen it.
so Cam K wants to know who kisses better, but Nicole Gibbons or Chris Lawrence, and then Tracy Ellis asks or Cooper the her dog.
Oh, Copper. I'd have to say Nicole, like that's a given, but Copper's way better than Chris. Chris kind of snuck up at Salvo, gave me a kiss without even without telling me in victory lane there that he was coming. But that just shows the excitement that Chris had when we won. And he did it just about to every driver that won for him this year, so including his brother. So I guess he keeps it in the family.
And you know what? I feel like Chris has a bunch of these winning traditions he's trying to start, like climbing the fence and stuff like that.
Oh.
And I heard there was a little hesitation on doing that. So, but
Yeah, Sauble, or I mean, we did it at Sauble, and then I won in the zero car. The night APC was at Sunset, and he came flying down. I don't even know. He had a headset on. I think he was ready to spot for Joe. And he came around to, let's climb the fence. I was like, no, man, like that fence ain't going to hold me. Like, not good.
I heard from Chris that there was a veto from the what, race monitor app that no time for a BT celebration for climbing the fence, trying to get
That
the
was the
APC going.
Yeah, that was the first thing I heard when I popped my window down was we got to keep this quick. So
And
yeah,
then Joe won, so you got to climb the fence anyway.
actually, I didn't go down. I was still in tech after 100 laps, late model race. I was still in tech. So
That's
they
once again, that brings back to the problem when you're fast. They start looking at everything. And you know what? I credit tech because sometimes there are cars that are cheating, and every tech person wants to be the guy that finds the fast guy's problem. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't remember who it is, and I don't even gonna mention names, but somebody had a lightweight flywheel freaking a few years ago, or some of us had big motors, and actually I don't even think that motor ever got caught. It might still be out there if you're looking. I don't know who has that car anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't remember seeing it anywhere actually.
I know it was bent and twisted, but that car was bent and twisted the right way, where it made it stupid fast. It started carrying the left rear tire, and like I was getting through the ends better than ever when I finally gave it up. Like the last
Yeah.
race I raced with, I finished I think fourth behind, I think it was Oosterholt, Kennedy, Jeremy Kelly, and I want to say it was that car, that Honda with that was all lowered and had the big engine and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Which I can't complain about that. And that car, that car's been around as long as yours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, especially in a field out of Peterborough there. Like those are the guys that, they were the challenge. They still are a challenge. When I went out there on the regular season night with running Peterborough rules there with the pink car, I ended up second after Tech with Oosterholt. He ended up getting dinged for something, but yeah, like I finished second, and I think it was Tegan Stanley beat me. I think that night.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, so back in 2014, 15, our Sunfires had a Sunfire penalty weight because they were so fast at that time. And then like everything else is kind of caught up and stuff like that. So like what a lot of people don't realize is even with the 2.2 SFI engine, we had to be 2,600 pounds. Where every other
Yeah.
track you only had to be like 2,200. So like when they finally removed it, it's like, well, what do I cut and stay legal? Like I'm not cutting the cage out of it. But anyway, back to the fan question period here before I get sidetracked with another squirrel moment. Mike Thompson wants to know, is there any ambition to move up to a different class?
Yeah, of course there's ambition. It's just it's the finances. It's tough to justify going mini stock racing because you can almost go mini stock racing for the same price you're going to pay for a super stock. Like, everything has got so much, and I've got other things in my life that I would rather spend my money on instead of moving up. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to race like a hot rod or something, but I just don't have the budget for it. And if I was to do that, I bet you, it would probably hurt Nicole being at the track because, we wouldn't be able to afford to have both cars going. And so this is probably the best route. And I understand it pisses people off that I continue to race it, race bone stock, but until I get somebody or someone that wants to come in and, write the checks, I can't really race it beyond my means, and I'm not going to put myself in debt to go racing.
Yeah, that's a smart strategy because you've seen me jump up and stuff like that, and I've kind of wore the money out of what I've had banked up to go racing and stuff like that. But I've had fun driving almost anything underneath the sun, and I feel like you might get some opportunities through because you've always been a racer that's been, I don't want to say aggressive, but like when to make the moves, but like if you need to make the move, but you're at the same time you keep the cars pretty clean. Um, yeah. So back to the fan questions before I once again squirrel out. That's the whole tech thing. You know which question that is.
Oh yeah, you could say it. There's a
I,
funny story behind that.
all right, because there's a funny story.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to tell the story. Um, so Jordan Fiddler put the comment up of where do you hide the second cheated up computer in the Sunfire?
So for years, there's been there's been people saying, "Oh, there's two computers. There's two computers." Went as far as a tech guy uh, tracing wires all the way back to the fuel stock gas tank and making sure there was no ECU wires going back there. So this year at Peterborough, I had a Bluetooth computer, and so we put that computer in the stock location with no wires, nothing going to it. And we thought it'd be funny, so we hogged a hole in the bottom of a stock airbox, jammed a computer in the stock airbox, and made everybody look. And Brad Laval was he was almost in tears, laughing so hard when he asked me where it was, and we showed him. And it was just kind of a running joke because everybody says there's one in there. And yeah, we like to play it. I got to thank Nick Clark for his brains on doing that just for a joke. And I actually took my car up there because I heard some noises in it and that, and I wanted him to take a quick little peek. And turned out there was a clutch spring that sounded like it was either broke or something he found. And so he did that the week before Autumn Colors, and it ended up needing a clutch, unfortunately. And so he thought that would be funny to do. And of course, Nick sticks pile of stickers and all kinds of stuff on my race car when it's up there. But um, yeah, so I forgot to thank Nick at Autumn Colors, and after I won, I forgot to thank him and Chris Lawrence actually in Victory Lane. So huge shout out to Nick for everything he's done for not just myself but Nicole and I, because he just pulled the motor to get her motor out so we can straighten that car.
All right. Speaking of Chris Lawrence, we're going to go on to what Chris asked. He goes, "What are a couple of events you would recommend for newer drivers or people who may not travel around a lot?"
Well, if to me it depends on budget. There's tracks that have good races. Great one day show. Well, sorry, fantastic one day show is John Caselli and Mike Schmidt putting together Frosttoberfest. You can't, 50. I think there was 50 cars this year. Like awesome one day show. The crown jewel I always look forward to is Autumn Colors. It's the atmosphere. 3 days you're at the track. Well, we're there 4 days, including our tech on Thursday night.
Sometimes 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then going back if we have to if it rains. But those two events, Sunset's got both the spring and fall velocity, but they're doing that the mid season show that's 1,000 to win. I forget what it's called. And I think it's in July, but that's going to be a big one. So if you have lots of money or if you have a good budget, Autumn Colors by far. But if you need to stick to one day shows, hit up those, Dash for Cash at Sauble. That's another great event. So yeah, well, I'd say those ones there are the biggest ones.
All right. One last fan question before I start closing up here is Tanya Stanley, which is Tegan Stanley's mom. You'd probably hear her when Tegan won there. What is some advice you have for the next generation of racers?
I would say don't jump in because most people that are racing, unless you're an actual a kid, but even for kids, don't spread yourself too thin with your operating, like your cash to go racing and everything. Race at the level you can afford, because as soon as you start spending all that money, you start to lose the love of racing. And that to me is the biggest thing. Other than that, keep your head up, keep trying. It's a learning thing. And don't be scared to ask other people for opinions or possible, things to help. Every track's got some fantastic in our class front wheel drive guys. You got Peterborough with Ryan Babin and Oosterholt. They'll answer questions. Sunset, you got Calvin Reeser or Chris Allard. Even he'll help you out and he'd give you the shirt off his back if he could.
If he's wearing one.
Got some. Yeah, if he's wearing one. Delaware's got Chris down there and a couple other guys that are fantastic to deal with. So every track's got a core. Just don't be scared to ask.
All right. So we're winding up here. So I'm going to give you some time here that you can thank your sponsors from 2023 or any new ones for 2024, as well as where people can find you on social media for your racing and etc., and any merchandise they can buy off you and or Nicole if you would like.
Yeah, so for 2023, we had obviously Annettville Garage, local shop here to us. Uh, Corey McAllister with Caldecott Millwrights, Two Speed Motorsports. I got to think. Wellington Perforated Sheet and Plate. It's on my hat. And then that was our main sponsor group. Obviously, Nick Clark, Clark Automotive. Got to thank him too for everything he does. BT Racing. And then for 2024, same group, Caldecott. We got Caldecott Millwrights back, Annettville Garage is back. And then we have a new one with Mike Schmidt and London Recreational. He's decided to come on board this year. So we're very thankful, and we appreciate everything Mike, not only Mike, but all these companies do for racing. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. And then obviously Wellington Perforated, they let us, we store our cars here. We work on them here. They're huge supporters of myself and Nicole. So yeah.
So once again, what about social media and merchandise that they can get off you?
Kind of been slacking on that part. We should probably do some merchandising, Nicole and I, but yeah, so BT Racing did some shirts up for us last year. Cassie Howard did a fantastic job on everything. KPH photography. Yeah, so if we have the pink card, Buttercup, it had some sweaters made and stuff like that. But really for merchandising, that was all that there was. We should get on that this year. I'm sure someone would buy something to help us out a little bit. As for social media, I haven't been on it, but Phil Givens Racing. I haven't updated it in a while. Probably should.
This is your motivation to update it. Now you're giving
Yeah, I
it
guess we'll get it all figured out for 2024, and yeah, it should be interesting.
All right. I want to thank you personally for coming on. You've been a good friend since I've known you, and well, quit whooping my ass every time you see me.
I meant to ask you too. Did you touch my car before Autumn Colors?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're back on the good streak then.
So you told me not to do it, but I think it was no, sorry. It was after I got out of the hot rod, I had to walk and stretch my legs. You weren't at your car, whether you were doing something. So I'm like, all right, Phil's not here. He won't know. So it won't mentally affect him. And then, yeah, I forgot to tell you until this point. And I'm like, yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know, is randomly once in a while, I'll be like, Phil, your car's winning tonight. I'll let you touch the fender. And so far, I think it's been perfect. Unless you ask me to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's when you just do it or you're leaning on it or whatever, it seems to win. But yeah, I don't think I think you're batting 100%.
Yeah. Other than, like I said, I think you asked me to do it in 2022, and that's when you lost the wheel bearing.
That's right. I did. I remember that right before we went out.
Yeah. It's like, Feeney, touch the car. You can't ask for it. It's got to be natural.
I should have got you to shake the right rear tire and you would have felt the play in it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have told you.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the thing is, it could have that much play and last 39 laps and you can skid it across the line, or it could fall off on the first lap with the Sunfire. You could put a brand new one in there and fall out in 10 laps. You never know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I went through 3 one night at sunset. So
anyway, once again, thank you for joining me. I can't wait to see you in 2024, especially now that I get to travel around and not just stick to one track and do the media things and stuff like that. So I'm probably gonna see you. If you do get merch, let me know because I'll probably end up buying some. Actually, you could do like a whole like Nicole and Phil Givens like cross shirt. You'll look like the cup teams and stuff like that.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah. Then you could be
awesome.
like, you can get your Givens Racing shirt. You can actually change that on your social media. So it's just Givens Racing.
Yeah, and then I'll let her look after all the updates on it.
Exactly. Like, it's teamwork. I gave you my last name. You do the social media.
That's 100% right.
All right. At least I'm saying it so you can't get in trouble.
Exactly. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great night.